Part 51. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 501. Chen Ling ordered 2 full plates, 6 main dishes, a bowl of rice, and an apple. She greeted everyone in the theater, found a quiet corner, and sat down. Her back is to the wall, and she is in a corner, so she will never photograph anyone else. Then, she took out her phone and posted on Weibo. I hosted a live broadcast on Doudu to have lunch, come and have lunch with me, the address is. Fans immediately left messages. I am not wrong, right? After 6 hours, the eldest sister posted on Weibo again. There will also be a live broadcast. Is it going to rain red today? Lingling who likes business. Wow, there are already hundreds of thousands of people in the live broadcast room, what a row of noodles. Chen Ling set up the mobile phone holder on the table and opened the live broadcast room. The title of the live broadcast room is, Eating Broadcast. AI Ling calls you to eat lunch on time and in the right amount. The barrage gifts bounced quickly. I am also having lunch, magical synchronization, rounding things off, I'm having lunch with Chen Ling. Lingling is so beautiful. Sister, I love you. Chen Ling took the chopsticks and greeted everyone in the live broadcast room naturally. Hello everyone, the busy and tiring morning is over. Have you eaten on time? Big sister, that's great. Our morning is not over yet, besides, my lunch was terrible, I had no appetite at all. I want to eat too, but I'm not done yet. When Chen Ling saw this, he tilted his head slightly and asked, not done yet? Is your work required to be handed in the afternoon? No. Sometimes the boss or colleagues are in a hurry. Then you're not working now, but watching the live broadcast, Chen Ling questioned. Because my job is to wait for the other party to reply, and the other party hasn't replied to me, and I can't do anything about it. I'm just afraid that if he answered me just after I went to dinner, my boss would blame me if I delayed my work. If it's not an emergency, you should develop the habit of eating on time. Some people just don't take wasting other people's time seriously. The longer you wait, the less they will take your time seriously next time. Real? In the past, the other party responded very quickly. Since the few times he's made me wait and I'm not angry, he's been getting more and more aggressive. Get it? Go eat now. That's right. Not eating on time can easily lead to gastrointestinal disorders, gain weight, and induce many diseases such as high blood pressure and diabetes. Moreover, not eating can make you very anxious and weaken your immunity, among other problems. After saying that, Chen Ling picked up a piece of beef with alloy chopsticks, put it in his mouth, and chewed it. Well, it's delicious. Many people in front of the screen were drooling. Sister Ling, what do you eat for lunch? Her dinner plate is not visible from this angle. So, Chen Ling picked up her mobile phone, pointed it at her food, and introduced it while taking pictures. This is braised beef with potatoes, boiled lettuce, teriyaki chicken, braised eggplant with green beans, fried mushrooms with olive oil, and fried cod with black pepper. After taking the photo, she put her phone away and continued eating. Is the crew's food so good? Didn't I say that the crew ordered box lunches? Sister, you eat so much, aren't you worried about gaining weight? Chen Ling looked at the screen, swallowed the food in his mouth, and said, I won't gain weight. Because my basal metabolism is already high, and because my sister has strong muscles. After saying that, she rolled up her sleeves and showed her muscles. Ha 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 ha. Sister, you are so honest. I like your muscle lines. With strong muscles, will the basal metabolism be high? Chen Ling explained, yes. Many muscular people have a large appetite. The heroes in the ancient romance of the Three Kingdoms and Water Margin have an amazing appetite because they have a lot of muscles. Besides, if I don't eat enough and don't have the strength to play Yesheokaiu, Yesheokaiu's eyes will be like this. Chen-Ling immediately put on Yesheokaiu's bright and energetic expression. This is the first time I have heard such a reason. In order to perform the heroine's vitality, she must eat enough. Haha, I suggest you watch Enjoy Life Season 4. The eldest sister is definitely a foodie. She can find various reasons to eat more. Also, she eats very cleanly, no food is wasted at all. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 502. Chen-Ling stopped talking and lowered his head to cook seriously. Well, my spirit is so good. I like the elder sister more and more. She is really eating. I didn't turn around and vomit it at all, or pretend to eat. I remember there was an actress who only ate a little bit of boiled vegetables, she was as thin as a pole. She also mocks other girls for eating too much. What makes me most intolerable is that in order to look cute, many girls now use baby bowls and eat as much food as babies and toddlers. Hey, I'm annoyed by this too. The key is that the girl is very proud. However, I really envy my eldest sister who has a body that does not put on weight. I have been dieting for a long time, and if I eat a little more, I will put on weight. Seeing this, Chen-Ling spoke. It's really not advisable to go on a diet to lose weight, she said seriously. First of all, you have to know that when we are alive, we have many activities every day that consume energy, which is also called basal metabolism. If you go on a diet, your basal metabolic value will become lower, and you will feel that sometimes if you eat just a little more, you will gain weight, which will not achieve the effect of weight loss. Moreover, if you don't eat enough, you will have no energy, and you just want to lie still and live your life. Extremely bitter. You see, although I eat a lot, there is very little fried food. There are staple foods, vegetables, mushrooms, and meat. The main focus is on nutritional balance. Although it is balanced, but what you eat is really not too little. Unlike some celebrities who pretend to eat, they even refuse to actually eat while filming. I also want to learn from the elder sister, eat well and work well, say no to chopstick legs. If you are not ruthless enough today, your status will not be stable enough tomorrow. In the following time, Chen-Ling did not interact with each other, but ate seriously. Watching her eat makes you feel happy. It wasn't until she ate all the food that she said to her fans who were trying to keep her in the live broadcast room, "Okay, that's it for today. I will have a live broadcast from time to time. By the way, I would like to remind everyone that your weight can only reflect your quality on Earth. It has no direct connection with your inner beauty, your soul, your strength, and your character. Don't be self-conscious. Consumed. However, being overweight can cause chronic damage to the body. Therefore, it is recommended that everyone try to control their weight within a healthy range and not blindly pursue thinness. Everything is based on health. Today's live broadcast ends here. Let's have a good meal. Bye." Amid the cries of condolences, Chen-Ling exited the live broadcast room. Asterisk. More than 10 days passed quickly. Chen-Ling's hand had the stitches removed. The wound is recovering well. If you open your palm and look carefully, you can only see a light white scar. The day after the stitches were removed, the crew began reshooting the martial arts scenes, some outdoors and some in the studio. In this way, filming was in full swing every day, from late autumn to early winter. Chen-Ling is also active on Weibo and live broadcasts, attracting more and more fans. During the first snowy season in Xianyang, all the shots needed for Song of Light and Blood were shot in Xianyang, and they were all shot successfully. Next, the crew will move to another city, I-City. There are many shots in the back, which have to be shot in icy and snowy conditions. On Zhang Qilan's side, there was no movement. Father Zhang revealed a little information and told her not to worry. "Don't worry, it turns out everything went well. Chen Ling didn't tell anyone that she missed Brother Lan very much. Very, very much. Especially in such a cold season. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 503. When the cold wind blows in China and people put on their best winter clothes, Australia in the southern hemisphere is about to usher in the hottest season of the year, summer. In Port Arthur, Australia, many tourists are facing the dilapidated buildings in the port and taking pictures non-stop. The tour guide is explaining the buildings in front of the tourists with saliva flying. What you see in front of you is the ruins of Australia's famous Port Arthur prison. This place is very suitable for shooting horror movies. Locals say that ghosts will appear here at night. Now, let me tell you about the history of this prison. Dating back to the end of the 18th century, England sent prisoners to Sydney Port, Australia by ship and established the first colony for exiling criminals. Since then, England has continued to exile criminals to Australia, but soon, Sydney Port was not enough. So, in the early 19th century, England found the next perfect place for exile, Australia's largest island, Tasmania. They built many prisons on Tasmania. The most famous one is the Port Arthur prison in front of you. Port Arthur was named by the first major sent here, George Arthur. Port Arthur is surrounded by the sea on three sides, with man-eating sharks in the sea and eagle hawks in the north. Smiths, Canyon, where guards and vicious dogs guard. Therefore, almost no prisoners can leave this prison alive. Many prisoners were sent to the prison here to do heavy labor reform work. In prison, the prisoners live a life worse than death. The prison officers are the kings here. They can do anything to the prisoners at will. A tourist asked, "Guide, if these prisoners don't want to be sent here, they shouldn't have committed crimes in the first place." The director shook his right finger. Not all criminals exiled here are vicious prisoners. Many are poor people who are forced by hunger and have nowhere to go. Even a small crime may be sent here. For example, in a prison we are going to visit later, it was specially built for teenagers. Some teenagers were sent here because they stole bread, toys, clothes, etc. At that time, the medical level was limited. Many prisoners died of serious illness during the long ocean journey. The tourists sighed with regret, "It's so pitiful." Poor, no, Mrs. White, you should be thankful for the prisoners who died on the way, said the tour guide. The criminals sent to prison are really worse than death. They face very cruel punishments. Many people can't bear this kind of pain, or commit suicide, or deliberately commit capital crimes. Only death can bring them relief. All the dead criminals were sent to dash. The director raised his hand and pointed to the distance. The tourists squinted their eyes and looked over, but saw nothing. The tour guide continued to explain, "There is a deserted island there, called the Island of the Dead. There are more than 1,600 tombstones, but only more than 100 of them have names engraved on them. The names are all of the local prison guards, and soldiers who guard the criminals. The other nameless tombstones are all of the dead criminals." And John Killen, at this moment, was standing on the Island of the Dead. He was wearing a white silk shirt of good texture, his black hair was a little long, and he wore a pair of huge aviator sunglasses on his nose. He stood casually, his long legs spread apart, and one hand in his pocket. He looked like a handsome rich second generation. The wet and salty sea breeze blew on his face, blowing up his long bangs and revealing a clean and beautiful forehead. John Killen and the other 14 people wearing sunglasses formed a big circle. Each person was about 3 meters apart. And in the middle of the circle, there was a wooden stool with a leather cushion. In the middle of the stool, there is a monitor in the shape of a crystal pyramid. In the middle of each of the 4 sides of the pyramid, there is a rotating camera. The camera is made in the shape of an eyeball. The base of the crystal pyramid has a microphone and a speaker. Not far behind them is a cemetery. The cemetery has been carefully repaired and tidied, and it looks clean and tidy. The green and flat grass is crowded with tombstones. Only a few tombstones have names, and most of the tombstones have no names. The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 504. This was John Killen's first time attending a meeting of the United Economic Association. Although he looked calm on the outside, he was turbulent inside. He didn't dare to make one more move or say one more word, lest there be any flaws. It's a huge effort by his contingent, and his country, that he's here today. In order to find a way for the Hedgie Association to gather, John Killen and his team tried their best. On the one hand, John Killen wants to start to create a mysterious image of a wealthy Oriental businessman who frequently appears in the United States and various European countries. On the other hand, they also have to secretly search for traces of the activities of Freemasonry members. Chen Ling found several Hedgie members, including Lu Donghao, the boss of Dulya Group in Country H, Yuri Kasai of the Kasai family in Neon Country, as well as a German automobile manufacturing boss, a French steamship boss, and nearly 10 people. But if you know it, what can you do? We can't let John Killen go to a member's house of the union and say to the member, "Hey, buddy, I am also from the union. I forgot how we are connected. Can you tell me?" Or, "I'm a new member. I forgot where the meeting place of the union is. Please tell me." That is absolutely impossible. In the end, John Killen's task force found a good way. They tracked the 2-year journeys of several known members of the Unionist Society and marked them with lines on the map. The intersection of the members' traces may be the place where they met. There are 8 such places in total. John Killen and the others first eliminated one of the intersections, the top university in the United States and even the world, Harvard University. Although it is an institution of higher learning, it is still a group of children. The Freemasons don't look down on these kids. The other 7 locations, most of them urban, people who are careful to protect their whereabouts. Although the search scope has been narrowed, it is still as difficult for them as finding a needle in a haystack. What's more, John Killen and the others couldn't search in a big way. At this time, Jiang's father passed on the secret of cracking the videotape to John Killen. A virus with such a high fatality rate and infection rate 100 years ago has appeared again, and it is very likely to target yellow people first. John Killen suddenly felt a lot of pressure. On his back, he carries the future health of countless compatriots. He couldn't help but feel anxious. The enemy is operating in the dark, but he has no idea how the enemy operates. John Killen stood by the windowsill of the luxurious castle, looking at the distant mountains, and thought again, it would be great if Chen Ling was here. She can always discover subtleties that are difficult for others to discover. She is thoughtful and smart. He was extremely eager to meet Chen Ling. Even a phone call will do. However, he must not contact Chen Ling. He is now exposed to the public eye, everyone is curious about his identity and source of wealth. John Killen contacted his father through national-level security and confidentiality channels, and it was not directly conveyed. It went through several encryption procedures before it was transmitted to him. He thought to himself, "Linger, if you were me, how would you solve the current troubles?" Chen Ling, who he imagined in his mind, smiled and said to him, "Brother Lan, are you dimmed under the lamp? The more cunning the enemy is, the more he will hide himself. When you can't find the answer, why not think again, put away the answers you threw away, pick them up and think again, maybe the truth is hidden in them," etc. John Killen grabbed the map. He stared at the first intersection. They ignored Harvard University. If he, John Killen, is Nathaniel Hanna himself, At this moment, he is holding in his hands the Spanish flu virus that infected 1 billion people 100 years ago and claimed the lives of 40 million people, and the previous experiments, not successful. So, what does he need most right now? Laboratory and experimental biology talent. The leader of the laboratory can be a few outstanding and crazy scientists, but scientists need helpers. Students, especially those who can enter colleges and universities, are all ambitious and determined to make a career, and they are easily tempted by others with fame and money. The answer is already in sight. Harvard University School of Medicine, where the best medical students in the world gather. What's more, members of the Freemasonry have also appeared at Harvard University. Let's go to Harvard University. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 505. Because John Killen was under strict surveillance, he naturally could not go to Harvard University to investigate in person. Several of his task force members disguised themselves as tourists and headed to Harvard University. Before they set off, John Killen told several members of the task force. 2 important points. If the gathering place is near Harvard, pay attention to bars, coffee shops and other places suitable for gatherings around the school. Within the school, focus on the use of auditoriums and laboratories. You can find a way to find the application form for the use of the school auditorium, and according to the information and make judgments. If Harvard University is a channel through which they convey information, then you should focus on the publications issued by the school and the notices on the school bulletin board. The internet, as long as it is used, may leave traces. Cheng Ling told him. Cheng Ling said that there is very little information about the United Economic Association online. It seems that they attach great importance to protecting their own network security. People from the United Freemasonry are particularly cunning and life-saving. They should not casually use the internet to publish information to inform their members of the gathering place and time. Fortunately, the task force found it that day. Harvard University has more than 60 bulletin boards, large and small, distributed in various classrooms, cafeterias, auditoriums, laboratories, men's and women's dormitories, etc. Task members, search bulletin boards one by one. Some of the bulletin boards were covered, and they didn't dare to pick them with their hands. They were afraid that their behavior would be too weird and arouse others' suspicion. They took pictures of every bulletin board with their cameras. This behavior is normal. Most visitors to Harvard University take pictures everywhere with their mobile phones. As a result, they found a handwritten notice outside an inconspicuous warehouse management bulletin board. At 12 o'clock on December 5, 2023, south of Port Arthur, Australia, the island of the dead. Bring your love and badges, and look forward to meeting you there. The signature is a hand-painted eye pattern. There are also sunglasses drawn next to it. Note, P.S., it's very sunny there, so wear sunglasses. Most people will ignore this kind of announcement. After getting this information, John Killen immediately looked up the itineraries of several known members of the United Economic Society. He discovered that the German automobile boss, the member who gave Nolan the task, announced on the official website that he would go to Australia in December to discuss cooperation matters. Jiang's father used the software provided by Cheng Ling to successfully intercept a message from Amos' office. Amos will visit Australia in December. Undoubtedly. However, all these things gave John Killen a feeling. A very important figure in the Freemasonry should have special feelings for Harvard University. Or maybe he is a member of Harvard University. Frequently having these members appear at Harvard is an affirmation and publicity for Harvard University. One more clue. Next, John Killen will make sufficient preparations for this gathering. First of all, it is necessary to make extensive friends with powerful people, so that his identity and status are less likely to be doubted. At the same time, He also wanted to learn about the situation of the original owner of the badge in his hand. More importantly, John Killen must work harder to polish his body into a tough and sharp machine. If necessary, he needs to risk his life. By December, John Killen, the latest and mysterious super-rich man, had made a name for himself in European and American circles. He owns the ownership of several small islands, countless mansions, heavyweight yachts, luxury cars and watches, and countless more, all overseas assets specially approved by the top leaders of China. He has made friends with many powerful people, and everyone is invited by him. As a guest, no one can accurately tell his identity and origin. Mysterious and rich, it is even more attractive. From John Killen's perspective, it seemed that December 5th had arrived in just a blink of an eye. Through his new friends, John Killen applied for the right to fly in the air from Australia. He took a private helicopter directly from the Australian mainland and flew to the Island of Death. The helicopter roared in mid-air and flew towards the Island of Death. At this moment, John Killen felt very calm inside. He did everything he could and learned everything he could learn. All that's left is to improvise. Soon, the fuselage of the private helicopter shook heavily and finally landed on the empty grassland of the Island of Death. John Killen put on his sunglasses and jumped out of the opened helicopter cabin. In the distance, a group of heavily armed soldiers in camouflage uniforms, holding guns, walked towards John Killen. Behind him, the helicopter circled, took off and left, bringing with it strong wind and waves. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 506. The white silk shirt was blown up by the wind. John Killen stood tall, calmly straightened his hair that was messed up by the wind and waves of the helicopter, and then walked towards the group of soldiers. From now on, everything can only be done by himself. This was also his first face-to-face confrontation with the Unionist Society. When John Killen was 5 meters away from the leader of the army, John Killen took out the Union Jack badge from the left breast pocket of his shirt. The Freemasonry has a very strict hierarchy like a pyramid. There are 33 levels in total. The higher the number, the higher the level. 33 on the top of the tower, WM, President. The highest level, no need to listen to any member's opinions. Dominate. Followed by the 32nd level, Senior Warden and Junior Warden. Among them, the power of the supervisor is higher than that of the deputy supervisor. On certain occasions, the president may grant specific powers to the supervisor, who will perform the duties of the president on his behalf. This includes the power of life and death over members, hosting meetings, managing affairs within the meeting, etc. Then, there are 31 levels: division level, treasurer, secretary, deacons, stewards, Tyler, etc. Next level 30, inspector. It has certain supervisory power and certain management power. The badge in John Killen's hand was the 30-level inspector badge. Have high power and status. The difference lies in the shape and material of the badge. For those below level 15, the certification standard they have is not a badge, but a ring. As soon as they saw such a high-level badge, the soldiers immediately put down their guns and saluted John Killen in unison. John Killen put the badge back into his pocket nonchalantly. "Dear sir, please follow me." John Killen walked with long legs and followed one of the soldiers along the man-made stone road towards the depths of the island. The outer circle of the Island of Death is a relatively flat beach and grassland, with a few undulating mountains in the middle. There are so many flies here, not just this island, but the whole country of Australia is infested with flies. Many Australians have to cover their dining tables in tents similar to mosquito nets when eating to avoid flies. John Killen shook his hair, but there were too many flies on this island, so many that it was outrageous. My ears are filled with the buzzing sound of flies. The flies are not afraid of people and keep swooping on people. John Killen couldn't help but walk faster. Seeing John Killen's pace quicken, the leader also quickened his pace. After walking for about 10 minutes, I saw a large garden surrounded by railings and a large iron gate in the distance. John Killen already knew the history of the Island of Death and knew that it was a former cemetery that has now been renovated. "I'll take you here, and you can go there on your own later." The soldier stopped. John Killen responded lightly. The soldier saluted John Killen with a swish sound, turned to the left with a straight posture, and then left with military strides. The soldier walked more than 10 meters before returning to his normal walking posture. John Killen looked at the environment around the cemetery before walking in. In this cemetery, there are groups of graves in the middle, surrounded by flowers and trees. He arrived early and didn't see anyone. After walking around a corner, he saw 2 people standing under a big tree. Still 2 acquaintances. Chen Ling's adoptive father Amos Joyce and the German automobile tycoon Francisco, who gave Nolan the mission. The 2 were waving their arms and shaking their heads, avoiding the siege of flies and talking. John Killen walked lightly and walked toward the 2 of them through an unnoticeable path. Without bodyguards around, how could the 2 of them detect John Killen approaching quietly? The sea breeze carried Amos's voice, "WM, she." Francisco cleared his throat. Amos immediately changed his mind. Why he chose such a place to hold a meeting, is simply inexplicable. WM is the abbreviation of Worshipful Master. This sentence successfully made John Killen's blood flow backwards. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 507. During this period, John Killen, the Task Force and the Special Security Bureau worked hard to uncover the secrets of the United Aid Society. They hold many unknown secrets. One of them is, the President of the United Freemasonry adopts a hereditary inheritance system. The previous president, Fernand Miller, had twins, a boy and a girl. The boy's name is Andrew Miller and the girl's name is Angel Miller. When little Andrew was born, he was groomed as the next president of the Freemasonry. For unknown reasons, little Angel was sent from the United States to Iceland after weaning. It is very regrettable that Angel, a girl who grew up in Iceland, became seriously ill when she was 6 years old and died on the way back to the United States. Maybe it was the twins' telepathy, but Andrew also fell seriously ill and didn't go out for more than half a year. When he appeared again, he was so pale that he was almost transparent, skinny, and his personality was different from before. The former Andrew was lively and cheerful. Today's Andrew is dull and gloomy. I also cut off all contact with my former playmates. A group of servants were changed in the family, and even the tutors, horse riding, shooting, arithmetic, etc., were all changed. Andrew grew up safely. At the age of 20, he entered the Freemasonry and gradually understood and took over the work of the Freemasonry. When Andrew was 22 years old, his father, Fernand, the president of the Freemasonry, suddenly became ill and suffered a stroke. Fernand collapsed, his health deteriorating. Symptoms include drooling, unclear speech, forgetfulness, inability to walk upright, and can only sit in a wheelchair. For the sake of the overall situation, Andrew took the initiative to assume the important task of being the president of the United Freemasonry Association. It is said that after Andrew came to power, he carried out a large-scale cleanup and rectification of the management of the United Freemasonry Association's 30th level and above. Amos and Francisco, both old members of the Freemasonry, witnessed the replacement of the old and new batons. They should know many secrets that even ordinary Masons do not know. And it was Amos' casual she that made John Killen have a guess. Was it really the girl of the twins who died in the first place? If it had been a boy who died, Fernand had only 2 children, a boy who died, and a girl. In order not to let their power slip away, the Miller family can only take Angel back to the United States. However, the United Freemasonry explicitly prohibits women from joining, let alone female presidents. Therefore, Fernand should have made a bold decision, arrange sex reassignment surgery for the girl Angel and inject male hormones. Andrew was seriously ill. He had obviously arranged for sex reassignment surgery and was not suitable for seeing people for the time being. After Andrew recovered from his illness, his temperament changed drastically, he changed people and was forced to undergo sex reassignment surgery. How could his temperament not change drastically? As for the replacement of servants and tutors, everything was a matter of course. It was difficult to hide the personal servants. It's better to replace it directly. Angel, a transgender person, grew up with the name of his twin Andrew. In order to maintain the appearance of a man, he had to be injected with male hormones regularly. Her mental state must be very abnormal. Thinking about it this way, the illness of the old President Fernand is very intriguing. Could it be Angel who did this to his father? Old Fernand is still alive and lying like a piece of wood in the Miller family nursing home. Angel will visit his old father regularly. Did she go to mock her father who was lying in the hospital bed? In addition, why is the Freemason Association now using its power to publicize the reasons for transgender people to face themselves correctly throughout the United States? Because the president is a transgender. This president is most likely a mentally twisted person. But she still holds the supreme power. What a terrible thing. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 508. Thinking of this, John Killen felt his back was wet with cold sweat. Amos and Francisco were still talking. John Killen quickly came back to his senses and tried to concentrate on listening. At this time, footsteps came from behind him. John Killen made a prompt decision and quickly turned to the fork of a bush next to him, and then resumed the sound of normal walking. After a while, he heard the person behind him greet Amos and the others. "Hey, old guys," the man had a strong Spanish accent. John Killen came back to his senses and looked over. A big middle-aged man with a hooked nose strode towards Amos and the others. From a distance, the big guy, Amos, and Francisco all made a move at the same time, covering their left eyes with their left hands. Because they all wore sunglasses, the 3 of them reached under the sunglasses and covered their eyes with their palms. This is the standard greeting of the Masonic Society. John Killen walked forward quickly, listening to the sounds behind him. He was not discovered by Amos and the others. After walking a few steps, the view in front of him suddenly opened up. There was a large open space, densely packed with tombstones. A tall man wearing a golden mask, holding a thick yellow leather book in his hand, stood next to the tombstones. In front of him, there was a leather bench. There were 3 or 4 other people. These 3 or 4 people kept a friendly, or rather a wary distance. It seemed that they were not familiar with each other. John Killen felt relieved. If they were all so familiar with Amos and the others, he would be different. John Killen covered his left eye with his left hand and saluted everyone present. The others returned the salute. Including the guy wearing the golden mask, he did not put his hand under the mask, but covered it on top. After a while, Amos, Francisco, and the unknown Spaniard came out from the back path. The 3 of them stopped talking, walked to the open space, and remained silent. In this strange silence, several more people came one after another. In the end, excluding the guy with the golden mask, there were a total of 15 people who arrived here. It was exactly 12 o'clock. The golden mask held a yellow leather notebook in his left hand and slapped it with his right hand. He slapped it 3 times. The crowd moved. With the leather bench as the center, a circle with a radius of about 5 meters was formed. John Killen also stood in the circle with them. The golden mask moved a crystal pyramid camera from behind a tombstone and placed it on the leather bench. John Killen was a little disappointed. It seemed that the heavy weight did not show up. Is the guy with the yellow mask the supervisor? Everyone bowed their heads, stood silently in their positions, and waited. At this time, piano music came from the crystal pyramid. Light and pleasant piano music. John Killen found that no one was surprised by the piano music. Maybe this was also a routine. John Killen tried to distinguish the piano music. He was not very knowledgeable about music. All his musical knowledge came from his younger brother John Kyun. John Kyun loved music when he was very young. If I remember correctly, this piano music should be the piano music of William Byrd, a great English composer during the Renaissance, Nocturne No. 2 in minor. The song ended. Everyone present applauded. John Killen immediately followed suit and thought to himself, could it be that the guy behind the camera played it? After the applause subsided, the crystal pyramid sounded again. It was a gentle male voice. What wonderful music, what a great creation, what a nostalgic era, the man said. Having a special feeling for the Renaissance, John Killen silently remembered it. The pyramid sounded again. Next, let's recite our Masonic oath. The eyeball-shaped camera on the pyramid was spinning. John Killen felt that the other party was paying close attention to everyone's reaction. John Killen had already memorized this oath, and he recited it with everyone. As a member of the human race, we will adhere to the principles of morality and ethics, uphold the qualities of integrity and honesty, and work for the welfare and happiness of mankind. We will be guided by kindness and justice and strive to pursue the path of light and progress. We will care and love others and work to improve human living conditions and environment. We will respect the dignity and rights of everyone, regardless of their race, beliefs, gender, sexual orientation, identity, or other differences, and we will treat everyone with equality and tolerance. We will pursue truth and wisdom, continue to learn and explore, and contribute to the advancement of human knowledge and wisdom. We will protect and maintain the natural environment, realize our interdependence and interaction with nature, and strive to achieve harmonious coexistence between humans and nature. Respect and protect the diversity of species. Finally, we solemnly swear that we will work for light and human progress with firm beliefs and actions, and contribute our own strength to building a better world. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 509. After reading the oath, everyone placed their right hands on the left side of their chests and bowed their heads in silence for 3 seconds to show respect. After the 3 seconds were over, the sound came from the pyramid again. Every time I hear this pledge, I shed tears of emotion. It's a pity that most ignorant people cannot understand us. I am very lucky to have you by my side, accompanying me to protect and build this beautiful home. Our homeland has been gnawed beyond recognition by those group of borers. These untouchables are wasting the resources that originally belonged to us and our descendants, and wantonly trampling on the animals and plants on this blue planet. Untouchables are untouchables. The only value of their existence is compost nutrients. Composting refers to the use of microorganisms to decompose organic matter into nutrient-rich humus. There is a red rose garden in my backyard. Many untouchables are buried under the garden. Everyone praises that red rose field. It can be seen that garbage pariahs are also beneficial. If they are used as compost nutrients, they are quite useful. I remember a saying, garbage is a resource that has been misplaced. This statement is really reasonable. So, we don't want to let the garbage continue to stay in the wrong place. We should let them become compost. This is the central topic of this meeting. John Killen listened expressionlessly. The pyramid placed on the leather stool, with its eyes facing the camera on John Killen's side, stopped moving. It was staring deeply at John Killen. John Killen had already noticed it. However, there was nothing he could do at the moment. Maintaining the status quo. The eyes were dripping and moving again. At the same time, voices came from the pyramid again. Why do I call the Renaissance the greatest period? At that time, the Earth's population was only 6 to 7 billion. Friends, what does 6 to 7 billion mean? At this moment, the population of the European continent is only 740 million. Because there are not so many humans and they are not so crowded, our minds are broader and only then can so many outstanding talents emerge. We broke up in the last meeting on bad terms. I know your concerns. Are you afraid that the wealth obtained by plundering untouchables will decrease because the number of untouchables decreases? The bodies of the people standing in the circle swayed slightly. I don't know if I feel guilty or dissatisfied. A gentle voice came from the pyramid. Friends, I admit that I was too angry at the time, so I lost my temper a little. Today, I will talk to you calmly. Boldly imagine, at this moment, if the population of the Earth suddenly dropped to 700 million. We still have the crystallization of thousands of years of human wisdom, we have high technology, we have endless resources, we have strong productivity, and our wealth will increase dozens or even hundreds of times. We, and our children and grandchildren, will enjoy a clean, comfortable Earth without too many untouchables. Before, our approach was very mild and we only deprived many untouchables of their reproductive rights. After all, there is no reason to pass on inferior genes. But this is too slow, friends. Until the Earth is riddled with holes, the population cannot be controlled. Until death comes, we cannot make the Earth clean again. So, I decided to speed up the process. I'd like to call this plan, the strong removal plan. John Killen's eyes, covered by sunglasses, kept his head, shoulders, and neck still, and moved his eyes to observe the movements of the people around him. They remained silent. Barely changed posture. Also, where did the guy with the golden mask go? John Killen glanced around with the corner of his eyes and found the golden mask. After he placed the pyramid-shaped camera, he hid somewhere. Before I elaborate on this plan, I have to do something else first. The voice came from the pyramid again. The tone is still so gentle. John Killen listened with his ears pricked up. Just listen to the pyramid say, today, a naughty mouse got into our team. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 510. A chill ran down John Killen's back. After the pyramid said this, it stopped talking. And the people who were standing still like statues began to move after hearing this. They looked left and right, trying to find the rat who sneaked in. John Killen didn't move. What else could he do? Now he could only remain unchanged in the face of all changes. It's a pity that they have worked so hard for so long. So much time and energy was wasted, so much money was spent. The enemy's specific plan has not even been touched, he has died before he succeeded. Strange, where did he expose himself? Or did one of them betray him and reveal his identity to the enemy? Who could it be? John Killen thought about it, but couldn't figure it out. The brothers in the task force, the father of the security bureau, and the leaders. Each of them is a comrade in arms for whom he is willing to give his life. No matter who it is, it doesn't matter. John Killen only gave himself a moment of loss, and then he adjusted his mentality. Now, he had to concentrate on thinking, what should he do next? Should he try to get by, or fight to the death? It seemed like a long hour had passed, and it seemed like just a blink of an eye, and all kinds of thoughts turned over John Killen's mind. John Killen raised his head and scanned the crowd. His eyes paused for a while on Amos. This man once killed Chen Ling. Although his linger was strong by nature and never looked back to pick up painful things, the feeling of being killed by the person he trusted the most must be terrible. How could John Killen have no feelings? Originally, he thought that as long as he worked hard to stay in the Masons, one day he could overthrow the Masons and make Amos pay a painful price, which would also be regarded as a relief for Chen Ling. At this time, John Killen realized that the man with the yellow mask was standing not far behind him, holding a heavy machine gun in his hand. No wonder I couldn't see it, it turned out to be right behind me. Pyramid sighed again, and then a rather regretful voice came out. I really don't like to use force, that's too humiliating, be a man and take the initiative to stand up. John Killen only brought a dagger. I'll give you 3 counts. After 3 counts, I can only use force with regret. Is he going to take it out now? 3, 2, 1. John Killen stood there and couldn't help but take a breath. Before the countdown 1 fell, the gray-haired man standing on John Killen's left hand suddenly took out a pocket pistol from his pocket, holding the pistol with both hands, and pointing the muzzle at John Killen. John Killen turned around and faced the man with the gun. It seems that he can't hide. John Killen thought. Then do it. He looked at the gray-haired man, and instantly planned several plans to take the gun with bare hands in his mind. He selected the one with the highest success rate and prepared to start executing it. At this moment, his eyes glanced behind him again. The man with the golden mask was not aiming at himself, but at the man with the pocket pistol. Why? The man with the pocket pistol only pointed the gun at himself, but did not shoot. In a flash, John Killen figured it out. The man with the gun was an infiltrator like himself. It was him, not himself, who exposed his identity. After figuring this out, John Killen instantly released his tense muscles. Almost at the same time, 2 gunshots rang out in a very close place, bang, bang. John Killen was unharmed. The gray-haired man groaned and fell to the ground. The pocket pistol in his hand also fell to the ground. The gray-haired man was shot twice, one in the wrist and one in the back. The man fell to the ground, blood gushed out of his body and soaked into the soil. The smell of gunpowder was diffused in the air. The gray-haired man lay on the ground, motionless. John Killen breathed a sigh of relief quietly. He guessed right and won the bet. The man with the golden mask put down the heavy machine gun, took out a pistol from his pocket, and carefully aimed at the motionless man lying on the ground. Then, the man with the golden mask walked to his side and kicked him face up with his toes. The sunglasses on the gray-haired man's face had been broken, revealing his true face. He was about 40 years old, with a pair of light blue eyes, and he was quite handsome. His pupils had dilated. He was dead. The man with the golden mask put the gun on his waist, bent down, grabbed the man's ankle, and dragged the dead man out of the circle. The man with the golden mask was very strong, and it was effortless to drag such a big man. This circle of people entered the statue state again. John Killen also turned his body around and faced the pyramid camera on the leather bench.